Hi, I'm George Costa, and you're watching ECITV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to ECITV Episode 4, coming at you on Skype. Gary's over in Woorolloc, and I'm up here in Kinglake. We've got a lot to talk about, so what do you reckon we're going to get started with, Gary?
Sounds a good idea. It's welcome, everyone. They're back again for Episode 4, like Shane said, so that's amazing. And I think we'll be doing them weekly for a bit longer. I think we're going to continue on a little bit with the COVID-19 talk, obviously, but not emphasise on it too much. I think everyone's well and truly over it, but it is part of life, and we do need to cover a little bit of it. What we have done this week is we've had the opportunity to speak with George Costa at Rennen over near Boston in America, in Massachusetts, and had a good chat to him about how he's structured to cope with the COVID-19, because it obviously is affecting everyone worldwide. Shane also had an opportunity to...
Oh, yeah, so I spoke to Quentin Grun from over at Prostart, who are making the electronic start gates that are very popular worldwide, and they also make practice gates. So they're in Paris at the moment. After that, we're going to talk about, we're going to show some more bikes. So we've got, 5 bikes this week, Gary?
Yeah, I think we've got 4 bikes and then...
A revisit.
Yeah, just a revisit, so...
And then after that, we've got a new regular segment that we're going to start with Michael Bias, elite rider from New Zealand. I'm pretty excited about this one. So I'm calling it at the moment a bias opinion, which I think is quite clever, but that's just me.
If you do say so yourself.
I'm quite biased.
No, that you're clever.
Oh.
Yeah, look, Michael Bias is a fantastic guy. We had the opportunity to meet him and interview him at Shepparton.
No, it was Bathurst.
Bathurst. And lovely guy, great attitude. What shines through is he just loves BMX racing. Like, it doesn't matter whether there's COVID-19 or whether, he's in the middle of training for the Olympics or whether he's just hanging out with the guys. He just loves BMX racing and is happy just to race the whole time. But he is a real fitness guru, and he's got a lot of great opinions and great ideas when it does come to coping with the current situation. So, yeah, it's a great idea to have him on board.
All right, let's get on with some general discussion. You got some things to talk about, Gary?
Yeah, look, we didn't touch on it last week, but Kai Sakakibara, we've done a little bit of research on it, and it seems like he's on the improve. He's out of ICU, which is fantastic. Now, this is information from about 2 weeks ago. I don't believe we've got any more current information than that at this stage. One of the things that did stand out quite a bit is on his Kai Fight 77 website. There's some images of well wishes and photos and everything like that the Kai has received, and the family has put them up on his hospital wall. We'll superimpose a quick picture of it, and so they're loving the fact that just brings light to his room and well wishes, and it makes everyone feel good. So the more well wishes and cards and photos and everything that can be sent to Kai, the better. Let's see if we can plaster his whole room, and they have to put on a whole hospital wing just to cover that. So I believe the address is PO Box 134, Helensburgh, New South Wales. You can check that on the Facebook page. But yeah, please think about him and send off some well wishes to him. So yeah, big battle in front of him, but it seems like he is on the improve.
Of course, it's a long road to recovery for him. So don't forget, there's a cause on the Road to Recovery website. So you can pop in and make a small donation. Any little bit helps. So that'll help him over the coming months. So we'll pop a link in the description for you, and we'll pop one up on the screen if I feel like it.
Yeah, No, if you feel like it. I'm sure you can manage it. You're a clever man.
I'll do it.
You even know the email address. Our email address.
How do people contact us, Gary?
Just give us a call.
Okay.
Another thing, while we were covering Facebook and BMX in general, a few days ago, maybe last week or whatever, April 6th.
Tuesday.
Sorry?
Tuesday, I think it was.
Tuesday it was, yeah. Luke Medill from BMX Australia jumped online and went live for about an hour. And everyone had the opportunity just to, because he was live, to hit him up with some questions. He was quite candid, quite open, and just sat there and had a chat. Had a massive following. I watched it, and I think there was probably about 160 viewing it when I watched it. So it seems like it's something that is needed at the moment, and I believe that Luke Medill was looking at doing it again probably, within a week, so maybe just after Easter. And if it's popular enough, he might do it as a regular segment. But you can just ask him anything about Luke's history, training, what's coming up, what's happening with the Olympics, anything like that. Luke's a fantastic guy. He's been in the sport for a million years, raced in the Olympics and had a huge amount of success. So his wealth is there to be tapped. And please just jump on the BMX Australia Facebook page, get an update and find out when he's next on, and let's see if we can bust that 200 or 300 viewers, because it was I enjoyed it.
And there's some sad news out of South Australia this week. Peter Moyle from Standish Cycles.
Yeah, I woke up I believe it was yesterday morning with Dave Smart, who's been around for a long time, a good friend of mine, had posted that Peter Moyle had passed away. Now, Peter Moyle has been in the industry a lot longer than Shane or myself. He's been around, ran Standish Cycles in South Australia for a long time, but he was an integral part of BMX South Australia, and I believe BMX Australia as well. But Peter and I, we would speak regularly, probably on a weekly basis when things were really hopping. He did suffer from a bit of a heart condition. I'm not too sure what's caused his passing, but I know there's a lot of people who know Peter well, especially in his home state of South Australia, and very, very sad news. He was quite young, young compared to, when you should go. It scares up people like me that are 61. So, but yeah, it just means you've got to look after yourself. And, very sad and very sad passing.
On to some happier stuff. The UCIBMX really doing a big social media push, so there's lots of content there. I did notice that recently they started showing off pretty much bike breakdowns for elite riders. There was a stack of them on there. So if you want to check out what the latest equipment is that the elite riders are running, then go over to the UCIBMX. I think it's on Instagram and Facebook, so check that out. Back to COVID-19, Gary. Part 2. We've had a couple more discussions with more industry people. So
it's we had an opportunity to, like I said, talk with George Costa from Rennen Design, and the main emphasis was the fact that recently he'd built a purpose-built manufacturing warehouse at his home, and it put him in good stead to be able to weather anything like this by reducing his overheads. The fact that he's working from home means that self-isolation, he can continue to work. He's got a fantastic setup. So I really appreciate the fact that George took the time to have a chat to us. He does enjoy a chat, George. So what we'll probably do is bust the interview down over a couple of episodes, because he did cover a few different things with new products and COVID-19 and etc. that we can split up a little bit. He also gave us a tour of his workshop, which again we'll put into a different segment. So I think what we'll do now is just go over to the interview with George Costa and get his look at the COVID-19 for Rennen parts.
You're going to hit the play button?
I don't even know where this play button is. I'm still trying to find it. Is it near the any key? Because I can't find the any key either. Okay, take it away, George. Okay, George Costa, we have welcome along to ECITV. Thank you very much for taking your time in allowing us to invade your premises at some ungodly hour. And thank you for coming along and telling us all about Rennen quality products out of the States.
Oh,
Welcome,
no, it's
George.
great. I'm looking forward to it. I don't get a chance to talk to a ton of Australians, and we have a big customer base there, mainly due to you guys. And it's great. So, whatever you guys want to know, let me know.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're sort of talking to you for reasons, as we're all aware, because of COVID-19, and we're trying to just get a bit of a feeling of what's happening around the world and getting a bit of feedback, and just sort of basically letting all the BMX race riders and customers out there just realise that things are still ticking along. Everything might be a bit slow, but people like yourself are still supporting the sport and still backing it and still supplying quality products all around. I think we've got another couple of orders on their way over at the moment. So the supply chain's still there, but unfortunately, a lot of people just can't use them at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So how's it affecting Rennen at the moment in the States, the COVID-19?
I think we're beginning to see the slowdown a little bit of what our normal order volume has been. We've been pretty lucky in that regard. Like I didn't really know how was this never going to affect us, or was it going to, greatly affect us? I certainly am very sympathetic to the people that this is totally like just shutting down altogether. Because if you're a trackside vendor, you're not selling anything right now. And there's a couple of people in the States that are like that. Some, luckily for me, I don't have anything made in Asia, so I'm not dependent on that supply chain. We make everything here in this shop that I'm talking in right now. So we can just keep on pushing forward and moving along, mainly because I have always wanted to put my shop on my property where I live. And I started that process 5 years ago. And it was a lengthy process because of permitting and all kinds of things. Like the house that I purchased, I didn't really research it a whole lot to begin with. And I ended up buying a property that was in a residential neighborhood. So I wasn't actually allowed to conduct business out of my house. But then I learned through starting to research it that actually my town has a special bylaw that I think I'm the only person to have ever applied for this bylaw for a manufacturing business.
Yeah,
because they had no idea. They had no idea how to handle it. The majority of home-based businesses here where I live are either kennels or hair salons or daycares. It's like that. Those are the three kinds of businesses that people put in their houses. Nobody puts a bicycle parts manufacturing business in their backyard.
You must now sit there in hindsight with what's going on with the coronavirus and everything, and give thanks to the fact that you've set yourself up as you have at home now, and just reduce the overhead, so you can continue to work. You're not worried about driving to and from work and risking yourself and risking your family. That you can just self-isolate and work from home. I mean, we're very similar here at ECI Imports. But I know that it's made a big difference to us, and it's made it easy to weather this storm.
Definitely. I mean, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but definitely in hindsight now, looking at everything that's happened, I mean, I'm really set up in a good situation so long as I can get the aluminum and titanium to deliver to the shop here, which hasn't been any kind of an issue at all. We definitely can continue running, even if it's just me out in the shop. I mean, a lot of these machines, once you set them up to go, we can just set them to keep on running parts, and I could actually man every machine in here without any employees. But I do have a couple of guys who work here who help, spread the load. And I actually have two good things that kind of happened from the timing of all this, in that not only is my shop here, like on my property, and this enables me to work and everything, but in order to fund this shop, I had two retirement accounts, and I actually decided to cash out one of the retirement accounts last year. It took the tax penalty.
Yeah.
But I purchased a brand new lathe, which is very expensive, to offset the majority of that tax penalty. So I only had to pay very little tax on that amount of money that I pulled out. And now, hindsight, where everyone's accounts have dropped like 50% or more,
yeah.
I couldn't have planned it any better.
Yeah.
And I know that retirement and all this kind of stuff is it's definitely something that everyone like pushes down your throats. Like you need to do this, you need to invest, you need to do all these things that we've been told what to do. But the difference is this machine here is pretty much
your retirement.
is what I purchased on that retirement, pretty much. And that's not really going down in value by 50%. No. It's not vaporware, we actually make things with it. So,
and it's creating an income. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to continue to churn out beautiful new products as you have been.
Yeah, definitely. So, I definitely am very thankful all those situations kind of lined up for me. But, it has been a pretty crazy ride. I'm hoping that this ends soon here in the States, so we can get back to stuff as normal. But
well, I mean, it must affect your business similar to affecting ECI, because we draw a lot of similarities in the sense that we both specialize specifically in BMX race products.
Yeah.
I mean, people are still out riding freestyle bikes and mountain bikes and road bikes and everything, but the BMX race, following has just all been handcuffed, and just the tracks have been closed. All the race meetings have shut down. So it's got to affect you and me, a lot more than what it would just a normal bicycle manufacturer or distributor.
I think so, but I think that I think what's happening right now is because things are uncertain and people don't know what's going to happen. I do think that people are holding on to whatever money that they do have, because you do have to worry about your bills, you do have to worry about food for your family, which I totally get. But one thing that BMXers definitely are realizing is that they haven't spent all that money going to a national and buying airfare and buying hotels and buying all this and that. So they, if they can get through, or if they're not worried about the money aspect of this at the moment, they're sitting bored and they're building bikes. They're building like a new setup. They're like, well, I didn't get this last year, but I'm getting it now. And so we actually had an order last week that it's kind of a sign that the BMXers will get through this. And if there's an apocalypse, they will survive, in that it was a chainring and chainring bolt order, which is typical. But it came from a customer in Hong Kong, China. So if a BMXer in China is going and buying BMX parts, you know what their mindset is like. They're just, if they want bike parts, they're going to get them. So
that's fantastic.
I got that order and I saw it and I just kind of laughed, and I showed the guys in the shop, and I'm like, this is a pretty good sign that BMX will last, will persevere through this tough time. So what's going to be interesting? Well, what is going to be interesting is kind of who this affects, and who can weather the storm, and who can. I think people who can weather the storm and come out the other end might end up being in a good spot when it all settles, because they're going to be the ones that stuck around and survived. Any person who wasn't doing BMX as a business for the right reasons might just abandon that altogether. And I think the industry and all would be better off for that, because there's a lot of people here in the States who are doing it as like a tax write-off or a side gig, and they don't really care if they're making money. And clearly that affects a lot of people who are trying to do this and make money. And I don't sit around and do this because I'm independently wealthy. Like I put a lot of work and time into this place, and this is my life. And so.
It's so good to talk to someone that's got such a positive spin and can pick out positives out of the situation that we're in, and believe that BMX is going to survive and come back probably stronger. So thank you very much for that insight. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think so. I watched an interview the other day with a doctor from Texas who is heading up vaccines and infectious disease and everything. And he basically talked about everything that's happening and said, we're fighting this all right now with medieval technology. The word quarantine comes from that time period when boats would come into harbor and they would be forced to stay in dock for 40 days and people couldn't leave the boat. That's where the quarantine comes from. So we have learned how to get through stuff like this in the past. And it's going to happen again. As far as we're going to get through this again. And this is probably going to happen again in the future. But I think, hopefully this gets a lot of people thinking about how to prepare for the future if anything like this ever happens again. Because definitely things caught me off guard that I would have liked to have set up better moving forward. And we'll try to make those changes. But it's a wild time to be alive. So
isn't it? Cheers, mate. Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time, George.
No worries.
And I think we'll jump on Skype a few more times.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know.
Okay, mate. Take care.
Talk to you, Gary.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
So that was a very informative interview from you, Gary. Quite thorough.
It was. Look, it was informative in the sense that it's good to see that someone who is very similar to ECI in the sense that we have both reduced overheads to the point where we're operating from a purpose-built warehouse or whatever from our own properties, and we both specialise 100% in BMX race products. So if anyone in the industry should be suffering a little bit, it's companies like Rennen and ECI, because freestyle continues to go on, flatland continues to go on. Unfortunately, BMX race has totally shut down, and so it affects us in the industry more than anyone else. But look, our companies are weathering it quite well, as George just stated. And when you have a look at the likes of Answer Racing that we spoke to last week, that said that some manufacturers and some industry people are down 90%. It's good to see that we can get through this and survive, and BMX will go
on. So we spoke to Quentin Grun from Prostart in France. So Quentin has been planning a big move to America, and he'd already started renting a warehouse and everything, and then COVID happened. So he has a lot of installs to do, and no flying has sort of put a hold on that. So let's go over to Quentin and get him to explain how COVID's affecting Prostart.
Hi, my name is Quentin Grun. I am the owner of Prostart, so Prostart BMX Gates. Thanks for having me on this interview. I'm happy to give some information about French situation and our production information latest about big gates, single gates, and yes, talk together about the sports, how it's going on.
So no more installations at the moment?
At this time, no, because it's clearly impossible to schedule something with flight. It's even if I'm sure I talk with some friends in Australia, even if in inland Australia it starts to be complicated.
Yeah.
So when you have because they told me you can't come in West Australia anymore. So stuff like that. But this is inside one country. But for myself, from France, if I have to, we have a pretty lot of gate installation because from March to June it's our main peak season because Australia is south of the world, so we are you switch. But in most of BMX tracks, we can say in the world is from north side, and we go out from the winter. So it's a time to have a new project and a new gate or make a new improvement. So right now we are 10th of April, so most of tracks in America reopen normally because most are closed in the winter, except in South like Florida, California, stuff like that. But otherwise, they all start to reopen, and so they need they use this winter time to make projects. So yes, we have a lot of projects with, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 safety gates to install.
Okay.
So it's very, very good for, well, 3 or 4 months ago, we was really happy and we was pretty okay on the schedule, and because it's tough to manage 20 gates in 14 different countries, but we was pretty good, and now we won't be able to install them since we don't know. So what we do is we do a smallest production here. We are a little bit less. We send all the gates we can because all the transportation still works pretty good normally. A little bit of delay, but no really problem. So we use this time to send gates. So 2 days ago we sent a new gates in Terrigal in New South Wales. So we send there by example, and next week we send in Japan. We have a few expedition we try to ship as soon as possible, so at least the material can transport, and after as soon as we will be able to find flights and find a position where we know we can go and we know we can come back, because it's also important.
Yeah.
After we will organize that. So it's hard to see the future. The good thing is we have pretty several gates to change in France. So it's just a van and car and we go install. So in France until 4th of May, we can't do anything. So we have 25 days to still wait or stay home. So we use this time to continue the production, make advance in a lot of stuff. And I think all May we will focus in French project. And June we will see how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Because it's in 2 months, and clearly 2 months today it's impossible to organize something.
You'll have to do some creative scheduling once you're up and running again to try and catch up.
Yeah. I had normally in April I had a very funny travel, and I had to go in America to install a gate in the US. After I was flying to China to install a gates, and after I go back to Australia and install a gate in Newman, East Pilbara. You know, it's Newman. It's a minor city in it's in not too far from Darwin. It's between Darwin and Perth. Between Darwin and Perth. I don't know exactly. It's a very remote town. So we have this project also. So I had normally a gate to install in Australia in 20 days, but so I had to do a big round trip. So I think in 2 months or 3 months it will be very similar. So I already say to my wife that sometime I will maybe not come back home during 1 month, because I will jump to every project.
Yeah.
But also it's very difficult because maybe we will be able to fly between France and Australia, by example, but it will be not possible between Australia and I will say something directly America, by example, and so it will be very complex to find some flight where you can and flight you can't. So the easiest way is go, come back home, go, come back home. But it's a lot of energy and also money, because when you are in Australia, it's very close. Well, for us, it's close to Asia. So we can do Australia, Asia, and come back because we have one gate in Japan, two gates in Malaysia. So we have also project in Asia, but we can't know if we can do things like that. So we will see. We will see. It's a part of the of the situation. We take the thing positively because we was very busy, pretty late. So we were. I think we could do on time, but with a lot of pain on the shoulder because we was late. So it was giving a lot of work, like working 15 hours a day. It's too much if we have to keep the schedule. So at least we have right now a better position, and we have more time to make it perfectly and think also about the future. So it's right now we take benefit of the situation.
So you've probably done a little bit better sales as far as practice gates lately too, haven't you?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's been, we can say, 1 month because everything started 1 month ago. We can say except in China, but because I get married exactly 1 month ago. So
congratulations.
yeah, thanks. I was pretty lucky because at 1 week later, we couldn't do the wedding, so it was very the limit. But anyway, it was perfect. But since 1 month, we get a lot of inquiries. Problem is because we was running late on everything. We had no schedule, strong stock of this, and we don't have all the material. And even if we still produce, generally we produce 20 gates by 20 gates. When we have about 10 gates left, we restart. But right now we sell 20 gates in like I don't know, 5 days.
Oh wow.
And after we was like, but we don't have anything in stock. And the problem is when you call a company say we are closed, and say when you reopen, and they say we don't know. So you are like, do you have some stuff left in your factory before you completely close? And some say, okay, we have few things for you, we can send. So we succeed right now to build 8 gates, which is already sold again, but after these 8 gates, we don't know at all when we can produce more. We can build some parts, but a practice gate, it looks a very small part, a very easy product, but we have so much work. It's just crazy because we do all by ourselves, all the control box, all the lights, all the gates, the electromagnet piece. It's more than, we work maybe with 25 different suppliers just to make a portable gate. So it's pretty a big job. So now we have no schedule and no routine, so it's okay. But when we have, I don't know, 3 companies who are closed, we have to find some solution. But some parts are very unusual, so it's very painful to find a solution. You will work a lot. You will try to find a company open and want to work for you. So right now we will move forward in few production, like we can move forward in all the electronics boxes. We can move forward with all the magnet pieces, but there is some parts we can't receive right now. So we just hope we will receive as soon as possible. But it looks that after these 8 gates, we can wait maybe early May or middle of May without any possibility to sell more gates. But we should. I think we got, I don't know, maybe more than 100 ask maybe more, which it's not just what's the price, it's we want to buy. So when you have more than 100 people and you say, oh, we have 8 gates, it doesn't match really. So a lot of people are pretty disappointed, but they understand the situation, and I try to respect the order, and first people who contact me get it. But yeah, it's just a little bit sad for people. We should it was difficult to explain to to expect this situation with the complete world in lockdown. But yeah, it's the good thing is it's right now only little sales we can do, because otherwise no one contact us to buy a complete gates, or it's not the time. So it was good to sell these few gates just to pay some suppliers and the buildings, and the building in America empty, stuff like that.
Did you want to explain the differences between the two gates? Because you got 2 practice gate options, don't you?
Yes, and I know it's not very clear. I have to update the website, because I have often the same question and I have to do it. But it's and especially right now, people say, "Hey, it's lockdown, so you have more time." But when you have have 3 employees, we are 4. But when the 3 are not here, it's mean I have to do the job of 4 by myself. So at this time, I say I have much less work, much less time for myself. And my wife can't work also, so of course I have to spend time with her. So the 2 difference, it's pretty simple. It's the 2 same gates, we can say mechanically. It's the only difference is the control box. The prime box have a speaker, we can say a small speaker volume. It's perfectly adapted for home. It's perfectly adapt for very small group, like 1, 2, or 3 person. But if you want to use it close to a highway or in a BMX track with 25 kids around, or during an event, I don't know, in a city to promote the sports or whatever, it will be not enough. So the original have a very strong speaker, and it's loud, and you can adjust the volume, of course. So you can put the original speaker and put low sound of if you want, but you have the possibility to really make it higher. And also the prime doesn't include the bag. So because we tried, when we send pretty far, like send in France or in Europe, it's not expensive, the shipping. So it's having a bag or not doesn't change a lot. But when we send in Australia, in south of America, if you add the bag we sell it €50. So I don't. Right now, the Australian dollar is not so good with euro, but we could say it's. We will say 80 Australian dollar. But the problem is when I had the bag, I have around $80 more of shipping. So it means finally the bag doesn't cost 80, but the bag costs 160, and it starts to be expensive for just the bag. So that's why we put a gate without the bag, so we can reduce some costs. And it's good to have the gate store in something so you don't break it, but you can find local solution. It's hard to find a bag like that because bags are expensive, or it's very difficult to find a bag with big openings so you can put the gate inside. So but generally people buy a big plastic box from like IKEA or stuff like that, and they just put like this, and they make a 2 wheels things. And or some that buy directly. You have some plastic box with wheels directly, and finally this costs $25, and the job is done. So that's why the prime doesn't include the bag. After some people, when they say, hey, we want a gate but we want to adapt the money, I say, okay, don't take the bag, because when you are very far, it's a double money, just because Yeah, and especially on these days, the transportation company are happy to charge a lot because it's complicated for them also because a lot of flights are closed. So, by example, I sent a gate in Queensland 1 week ago. So normally it's the normal way is France go to Dubai a boat or Asia like Singapore, and after go down to Brisbane or after Melbourne or stuff like that. But right now all this situation in Asia is closed, so they can't pass in Asia. So what they do is they send to America, and after from America they go to Hawaii, and after from Hawaii they go to Australia. So it's a very long travel for the gates,
Yeah.
and it costs a lot. So it's not easy, and so that's why they charge money. So yeah, if we could not put the bag, it's always little help.
So they're not a very heavy starting gate anyway, are they? So if you're just lugging it from the car to a few meters away to set it up, it's not a big deal. You don't really need the bag for that sort of thing, do you?
Yeah, no, it's not an obligation. It's nice because it's it's the safe place.
Yeah.
You are not lost something like lost the connection or broke it. Or it's also nice because some people use it for putting some clothes or some bike gear. So when they go in a holiday, they put the gate, the bag, all their bike stuff inside, and because there is some space.
What's the email address?
It's Quentin.Grun, so Grun, at prostart.fr.
No worries. We'll put that on the screen for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Quentin. I'll let you go. So COVID-19 seems to have different effects on different companies. It's interesting to see how Prostart are affected, relying on heavily on other suppliers, and with suppliers shutting down, it means that it's getting a bit difficult to get hold of their practice gates. But hopefully once things are up and running again, they'll be full steam ahead and very likely to be flying all over the world trying to install months worth of starting gates.
Yeah, you don't realise how much of a knock-on effect it has when someone relies on multiple suppliers or manufacturers for you to then assemble an item. You only need one of those to break down, and it just throws a total spanner in the works.
But even the simplicity of an airline not being able to fly and what kind of an impact that would have on business.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're experiencing a massive impact, and on most mail order companies are. The thing is, at the moment, because people can't get out to purchase goods that much, because it's not deemed to be essential, we are all relying a lot more on internet and mail order purchases. And I was noticing that Australia Post had been interviewed on the news last night saying how the volume is increased so much with parcel freight that it has surpassed or almost doubled what Black Friday and Cyber Monday volumes that they saw. So it's a huge amount, because I know that those two big selling days on the internet were massive for companies and freight companies, and to see that it's almost doubled that just currently, just because people are buying so much from home. So please be understanding with the mail order companies that they are shipping goods out, but there's just massive delays with Australia Post. Personally, I had something go to Sydney. It took 3 weeks to get from Melbourne to Sydney. So please don't get on and abuse the distributors or mail order companies. They're doing their best. It's just unfortunately because there's no flights or very little flights and very little. I think their main problem is their sorting areas, because they've got social distancing and everything, that the sorting side of things is delayed massively. But anyway, just be understanding out there.
My favourite segment, Gary, show us your bike.
Show us your bike. Okay, so what we're going to do, we have 4 new ones and 1 rehash, as Shane said. So let's kick it off. We've got Amy Main.
All right. So this is Amy Main out of Sunbury, and her Supercross Envy V3. It's a pro short cruiser. They only ever did very short runs of these shorter frames. Amy's not super tall, so it's perfect size for her. So Amy says, you guys both know I love my bike and I wouldn't change it for anything. Just a bit of background. She's on the Speedline team, which is supported by obviously myself and supported by ECI. Everything on it is either bought from ECI or Supercross Australia. I'd like to thank my sponsors, Speedline, Supercross Australia, for the ongoing support. The breakdown of the bike is she has purple Supercross SLT forks, so they're chromoly forks. Speedline Campy headset, so it's an integrated headset. She's got Supercross handlebars. Very Speedline, so Speedline lever, Speedline stem, Speedline C-clamp, brakes. Of course, she's got the Profile cranks on there, Profile Elite hubs. Now, this wheel set, Gary, is what we used when we did the How to Service Your Elite Hubs video that's been quite popular. I think it's had something like 30,000 views now. Prior to doing the video, I think it was 6 years, these wheels have been around. So they've seen quite a bit of track time, and it must be at least 3 or 4 years since we did the video. So testament.
Like 10 years old.
Sorry?
So in total, it's what?
Yeah, 9 or 10 years old.
9 or 10 years
So
old, perhaps, the wheel set.
a testament to how well the wheels held up. So alienation rims and Profile Elite hubs.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So yeah, very nice looking bike there. It's the polish should be pretty hard to keep. She's had it for a few years and she's managed to do a good job. Maybe she could borrow some Armour All from our friend Sharon Watson.
And she and they do ride quite a bit, so
Yeah.
it's well and truly had some use.
Oh yeah.
What seat is it? A profile seat?
What does she say? Yeah, Profile Pivotal with the purple logo.
Oh, okay. It just looked like a profile fat seat. I was just curious as to why she thought she needed a fat seat. But
I'm not going to go there.
leave that one. Okay, moving right along on that note. The next one we have is a Paul Knox. Now, this is, I don't know, what, shagadelic?
I don't think Paul ever really left the 70s, did he?
No, I don't think so. His haircut didn't, that's for sure. Now, this is, for those of you who know Paul Knox, he's fantastic guy, been around for years, and he's into his retro, and this is just one of his bike collections. So it's a Morrison Viper, which in its day retailed at $99 from Woolworths out of New Zealand. He rides, I'd like to enter my ride in your get stuff for free competition. Hadn't thought of that. This sweet whip is built with classic steel. I resisted the upgrade to put on the bitchin' set of carbon forks to replace the stockers because you can't improve on perfection.
Well, he says that, but have a look at the cranks and the wheels and the handlebars, and I think the frame and fork are the only things that he haven't upgraded.
I just love the mirror ball, the lighting, the shagadelic rug,
And that Panther.
and the panther in the background. He's gone to a bit of trouble there, as Paul does with everything. But one of the things that really stands out that Shane and I picked up on is his use of a trophy as a bike stand. I think that's pretty cool. That's a pretty gnarly looking little setup. But one thing that does stand out to me, and I pointed it out to Shane before, is the Crit mini plate. Now, I don't know about you or I, but I'd hate to see the size of the Pro plate if that's their mini of the day. It is huge. Can you imagine that on a little set of junior or mini bars? It'd be like police motorbikes from Chips or something with a big screen in front of you. Yeah, he's got some old classic stuff on that with some real old Alienation tyres and first gen TNT hubs, and yeah, it's
cranks, maybe.
Sorry,
Castan cranks.
Could be. It's hard to see, but I'd say it does look like it. Almost looks like croupy pedals.
I think there might be Hutch.
Hutch, okay.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Should have asked him.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm sure we can expand on it because he's got quite a few bikes, and it might end up a little bit of a regular inclusion. Some of Paul's bikes.
So I've got a video of him jumping this in my backyard. I'll have to put that up so people can see. He's not just built this up as a carpet queen. It's something he rides, and he puts way too much trust in it.
Okay, well done, Paul. Okay, take it away.
Sam Ray and his Yes Type X Pro XXL Cruiser. Now, this is a nice looking rig, isn't it, Gary?
Yeah, it is. That's brilliant. And I like the setup beside the pool too.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to race it or jump it into the pool.
Lake jumps, geez, that's been a while. I've got some old footage of lake jumps in Lilydale Lake. I'll have to try and drag out one day.
There you go. That'll make a segment for us.
Whew, yeah, they were insane. I'll drag footage out.
So back to Sam. My name is Sam Ray, but at the track I'm known as the Crusher. Apparently it's a long story. So my bike is a Yes Type X. It's got the Yes Type X Pro XXL cruiser frame. He's custom painted it himself with powder coat. It's an illusion purple with teal violet metallic clear. So I think you've got a couple of photos there, and it comes up quite nice with the sun reflecting off it. He's got the Yes Reach forks, bombshell, straight pull, wheel set, purple sidewall V Speedster tyres. Can you still buy those, Gary?
Yeah, you've still got some in stock, depending on the size.
I hadn't seen them for a while. Pro Max 180mm cranks, VP flat pedals. Like to see other flat pedal racers out there. Rennen chainring. What else we got? Some box parts there. He's got the box stem bars, brake and number plate. And running the purple Vans ODI limited edition grips. Tioga Spider seat. So it looks like it'd be a pretty lightweight beast there that he's got, and given that his name's the Crusher, I'm not sure that it's a good idea to be on a lightweight bike, but oh yeah, and he's also got custom glow-in-the-dark oil slick decal kit, so some bonus points there for me. Look quite nice.
I like the purple hand grenade valve caps. That's what I just zoomed in.
Oh, nice.
And obviously custom painted Rennen white chainring.
Yes.
Yeah, he's taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to that. It's a good setup, really good.
These are Answer mini platforms?
It looks the same profile as them, it could be.
Well, they're the VP ones. So
VPs, yeah.
Yeah.
No, very nice. Yeah, and we did have a picture of him in action. Maybe that's just before he crushed someone.
His email goes on, I do cop a little bit in regards to my colour choice, but I couldn't care less. It's my bike, I built it my way. That's what I like to see. It's taken close to a year to get it to this stage, but I can confidently say she is done. Yeah, I don't know if he could go any further than what he did. It's a real nice looking custom machine. Now if this virus would kindly... let's fix this one. I think he means go away, but he spelt it differently. So we can go racing. So a special shout out to Sam from Slap Up Decals and Bunny from BB Cycles. So yeah, nice looking rig. Something to be proud of, that's for sure, Sam.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think the lady in that photo down the right hand corner, bottom right hand corner, is super impressed as well.
I reckon she's watching ECITV.
Could be. Maybe she's watching last week's episode.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. Shorty. How are you, mate?
Back for more.
Your bike looks a lot taller when it stands up like that. Enough of the tall jokes.
I got to do this one too. Supercross Pro Sport. We saw this one last week.
Well, we only saw half of it last week.
That's right. I think we might have embarrassed him enough to go out and actually take a photo so we could see what the bike really looks like. So he's got the Supercross forks, profile mini hubs. Excuse me. It's got Speedline headset, seat, C-clamp, chain tensioners and brakes. He's running the bombshell cranks and a Rennen chainring, which is a bit different to what we thought it was last time. We thought it was a fist. It's got the S&M Fit short stem, so that sort of helps with the top tube length for him. So yeah, that's the last time we'll see this bike in this configuration because he's likely to go off and play around with it a bit more. Very nice looking. He's actually got it all color coordinated.
Boy, I was just looking. He's got red Volcano washers on the front.
Oh, what?
Black Volcano washers on the rear. Red chainring bolts with one silver one.
I take that back, but you know what's going to happen now. He's going to send in more photos of the bike with probably photoshopped matching bits and pieces.
He's a nice guy, Craig. So yeah, send in as many photos as you like. We mightn't put them all up, but yeah, just keep sending them in, Craig.
He gave us an update about his Tanjay too, didn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned last week that Craig's been a customer of mine for a lot of years, and I think we almost sold him his first customised frame, and that it was a Tanjay, and he did email him to say, yeah, he had it stolen from him in 1998, and then had the opportunity to buy it back off of eBay in 2010. So there was 12 years that he didn't have it, but he has got it back in his possession now. So just a couple of dates and a couple of updates from last week. So, last cab off the rank. Zeke Noonan, one of the TNT riders under Michael George's Australian TNT team. He's out of Western Districts in Victoria, and he writes TNT Pro XL Supervong with TNT Peacemaker hubs, TNT M80 rims, Profile Elite cranks with an 11 chainring and box bars with box carbon forks and Shimano DXR brakes, all purchased from ECIBMX. Zeke has been a customer for a while. I'm not too sure. I believe it's the red bike that he might be running at the moment, but he sent us pictures of both, and yeah, really tricked out. He's a nice guy that gets around to a lot of the race meetings and represents the brand extremely well. It's probably not a lot that we can cover that he hasn't already mentioned.
So he's got the Mac grips. I guess they're the first Mac grips we've seen since he started. And the matching Mac plate, of course.
Yeah, well, all the others were ODI in this week's, apart from Paul, which was
the answer slick grips.
Slick grips.
Yeah.
Very specific.
So while these race bikes have their clip pedals on, it looks like he's got the Pedaling Innovation Catalyst pedals as well. So the TNT team are supported by them as well, aren't they, Gary?
That's correct. Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my favourite platform pedal, that one.
Yeah, definitely. So, so that's pretty well the bikes for this week. I think personally, I don't know. I think Sam Ray's got to won it, don't you, with the colour scheme?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gone to quite the effort to take a whole year for their bike to build, especially Craig Austin. Yeah, it's just it really stands out amongst the rest of them, I'm afraid. Sorry, Amy, and everybody else.
Yeah, no, definitely. And thanks for entering the, what did Paul call it? The Get Stuff for Free competition.
Yeah.
So we'll probably send out a free sticker pack to most people, apart from Paul.
Have you got some old school stickers?
Oh, mate, you would see the amount of stickers I've got drawers and drawers and drawers of stickers that I didn't realise I had.
Oh, right.
I've got stuff from probably when I started doing this 20 years ago. So I'm going to slowly start to feed those out shortly. But yeah, it's I've been finding stickers all over the place. That is one advantage of the COVID-19, everything being a little bit slower. We are having a bit of a tidy up and coming across some weird stuff like that. So yeah, definitely.
All right. So we've got our new segment, the bias opinion. So what we're planning to do is catch up with elite BMXer Michael Bias from New Zealand on a regular basis. Like Gary said, we're big fans of Michael after meeting him at the Supercross rounds in Australia earlier this year. So he does really enjoy BMX and he loves talking about it. So he's ideal for this, joining us with ECITV. And this first segment is just about how COVID-19 affects him as an athlete who is looking to qualify for the Olympics with, events shutting down and qualifying getting harder and harder for him. So I might get Gary to press that play button if he can find it this time.
Hey guys, Michael Bias. I'm a BMX rider from New Zealand, based in Auckland. Yeah.
Thanks very much for joining us, Michael. This is kind of more of a follow-up from our last interview over at Bathurst. You were pretty keen. You had all the travel plans. You were going to Tassie for the Oceanas. You were going to the World Cups, and you were sitting on the bubble as far as Olympic qualifying goes. So as points stand today, and as UCI stands, you would have missed out, wouldn't you, at this stage?
Well, one of the way it works for the individual ranking, it was sort of going to come down to the Worlds anyway. So I still had sort of a last chance qualifier of my Worlds result getting me to the Olympics. So I guess, yeah, as it stands today, the points wise, I'm not going to get a spot, but it was kind of a bit iffy anyway because I haven't done all the races just because of my budget. But yeah, as it stands today, I guess I'm still waiting to hear what happens around the selection and Worlds for next year to qualify for the Olympics. But yeah, nothing's really changed. You
don't have any insider information as to what might happen if they'll open up the points again or anything like that?
I'd say they'll have to. No, I've got no inside information, but it won't surprise me if they do use the current points and then maybe carried on a little bit with next year's season. Seems like a lot of the qualification has been suspended to the 1st of December, so nothing's going to be before then. But yeah, obviously the Worlds next year is a big one for the individual riders.
So when you first heard the announcement, Tasmania was suspended, all the World Cups were suspended, World Championships were suspended. What was going through your mind at the time?
Honestly, I had kept... I mean, in New Zealand, we were so far away from everything that was happening, it sort of didn't seem too real for us over here. So I was still training as normal, going to the track, going to the gym. Everything was normal. And yeah, I don't know. You just never, as an athlete, when you're training for something, you can never just say it might not happen. You've got to train as though it will happen. So in my head, I was training as normal. But then obviously when they announced it, it was like, right, for about a week, it was like, why am I training? Like, when are we going to race? But after a week, it was like, okay, let's get back into it and build a big base now, because we were sort of building up towards those World Cups to be peaking then. So we were halfway through this big block, and then to be told, nah, started all over again. It's like, oh.
So now how do you mentally prepare yourself for an unknown amount of time that you'll not be riding your bike? What do you have to do physically and mentally to prepare for possibly 6 months of no racing?
I think personally for me, like, I love racing. I'm a racer. But like my weakness is probably the base that I have. So building up more strength, and now I've got more time. So I think there's been so many positives come from this. Obviously, the whole thing as a whole is not positive, but I try and take as many positives from as I can. So I've taken lots of positives. I can build a bigger base, and I can work on all those things that I've been wanting to work on but haven't had time. So mentally, I'm I feel like I'm really good. In terms of I'm excited to wake up every day and train, and I'm really using this time wisely and making the most of it.
Are you able to work through this period?
No, so in New Zealand, we're a bit different to you guys over there, but they've basically shut down everything except essential businesses, so couriers, supermarkets. So no, personally, I'm not working, just at home every day training.
So that doesn't help trying to save money for your budget for when you do travel.
No, not at all. doesn't really help anyone listening, but yeah.
The government aren't offering any stimulus packages or anything like that?
They are. I need to look into it, but there's been talks if we do get out of lockdown in 4 weeks, which is we're 2 weeks in now, that you'll have to pay it back anyway, I think. So. Oh,
right.
That if it extends to 6 or 8 weeks, I will look into it some more.
Yeah. Well, what would be the first thing that you'll do when you come out of lockdown, do you think?
Go see my girlfriend.
Oh, no.
No,
so she's track and field, isn't she? Is she able to train as well?
She's sort of in the same boat as me. Like she can do what she can at her house with gym and running and stuff. But I think all athletes are sort of in the same boat. Take this time wisely and treat it on something that you needed to work on before, or you haven't had time to. So
have you got onto the practice gate or anything like that?
No, personally, I haven't got a practice gate at my house. So I've been on lots of sprints, lots of gym and mountain biking as well. I think technique can be, obviously Olympics have been announced next July, and we've got the whole World Cup season coming up. But from the time we get out of lockdown to the next race, I'm going to have still months and months. So I feel like my track work and my gate work, there's no need to hurry that right now. That's more technical stuff that I can do later on. There's no point worrying about that now. So I'm happy focusing on what I'm focusing on.
What about other BMXers? What do you tell them to do during this time when we're at lockdown and they can't get down to the local track? What would you advise the younger riders or even older guys like me who are busting to get out on the bike to do?
Honestly, there's a few things. First of all, I'd say don't stress. Like it's fine if you have a few weeks off your bike, but if you really want to ride your bike, which is cool because I mean that's why we do it. Go out onto the road or practice your manuals, your bunny hops, and then if they're too easy, you can obviously come up with 100 different other things that make it hard. So bunny hops into manuals or manuals into bunny hops, and balancing on your bike without moving. There's so many things that's going to help with your bike control. So when we get back onto the track, we're going to be better off for it. So these days with social media, it's cool. A lot of the pro guys are sharing home workouts on your bike.
I've seen that. Yeah. So how can people follow you on social media?
Instagram, I post quite frequently, so that's mbias901. Facebook, it's just my name. And
all right, I'll let you go. Big weekend ahead, so enjoy your Easter, and thanks for joining us.
No worries. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. All right, thanks to Michael for his first effort. What do you reckon, Gary?
Oh, look, it's just, I love listening to him. He's just got such a positive outlook on everything. He's one of those guys that you could just sit and talk to for ages. So I think as a little regular segment inclusion, Michael's going to be great because not just the fact that he's so knowledgeable and informative of BMX, but he's just got one of those attitudes that you're happy to listen to. So, fantastic, really. And you did a great job.
Thank you. What have we got coming up in the future? Because that's the end of our show.
That's the end of the show for this week. I mean, we have been doing a lot of interviews, and so that virtually is replacing what we would normally cover through BMX races. So the show won't continue to do as many interviews once racing commences again, because we will be covering a lot of events. But at the moment, we're trying to fill the void and hopefully allow the customers to get a bit of an insight into what's going on around the place. So what we did start last week was the dad joke battles, Dozer's dad joke battles, and it went off extremely well. But we didn't have time to slot another one in this week. We have spoken to a couple of riders, and Michael Bias is one who's keen to get on board and take on a battle with someone. I've also spoken with Hayden Fletcher, and he's mad keen to do it. So we will have it next episode. Not too sure who. Might even get Hayden to battle Michael yet. So.
Well, yeah. Of course, Sean's looking for people to battle with as well. He's
yeah, exactly.
He's battling to find people.
He is. Sean is a battler. So coming next week we'll have more dad joke battles and just more insights into what's going on in the industry and how BMX is surviving even without racing. So one of the ones that we've been trying to nail down and hopefully we can get over the line shortly is Sean Dwight, the super coach. So we'd like to get a little bit of input from him and have a quick interview with Sean. So hopefully we can convince him over the next couple of weeks.
Do you think we'll get back onto our discussion about V-brake versus disc brake next week?
Look, I think we will. I think it's going to be one of those things that we'll probably cover for 6 months or so because it is something that a lot of people are interested in. Shane and I did point out again this week that with the 5 bikes that we showcased, not one of them were disc. So maybe you guys out there in BMX Raceland with the disc hubs and disc brake setups, send us in to the Get Stuff for Free competition, and so we can showcase some disc brake setups.
So how do people contact us, Gary?
I knew you were going to say that. Gary at... No.
So it's ECITV.com.au. So that's the website.
So even you had to think about that.
Well, yeah. And the email address is ecitv@bmxultra.com.
And if there's any doubt, it'll be there or after the show there.
All right.
So you can do that. You're clever.
Can I? Thanks.
Okay, so that's probably it for us this week. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and please, email us in to let us know at that email address. Anything you'd like to hear about or any discussions. Do us a favour though, when you do email in the pictures for Show Us Your Bike, can you please include a postage address and also maybe t-shirt size? Because we, when we do send out a prize pack or something, it just makes it a bit easier than trying to get back in contact with everyone to get those details. So shoot us a picture of your bike, a quick breakdown of your bike, and maybe just a postage address and t-shirt size, just in case you are a lucky one to win the Get Stuff for Free competition. Thanks, Paul. So that's about it from me.
All right. It from me.
It from you. So see you all next week, and stay safe out there. Keep your distance, and hopefully we'll all get out of this quite well. And RIP Peter Moyle.
See you guys.
See you, mate.
No bouncing today.
No. Too early. Oh, it's not really. It's the middle of the frigging day. Okay. Good at your end?
Yeah, except you're in the picture.
Can't help that. Sorry. It was just a thought I had on the hop. So.
Yeah.
Hop.
You found the button.
Monty knows how to push my buttons. I should get her down here so she knows what this button is.
I don't know if I want to see her press your play button.
I'm going to run out of places to push. Never.
You just have to use more fingers.
So you can do this one, seeing it's a Supercross.
Yep, if you pop it up on the screen for us, we'll have a look.
It is there.
It is.
Oh, I've got to share it, do I? Oh, God, this is complicated. Okay, let's see. Look at that. Hang on, start sharing.